Hello, my name is Jingonelli, and today I'm going to be taking you through another tutorial, a continuation from where we had left off. So we had ended on the NRM's Economic Recovery Program of 1987. So with this, before I begin off, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It will bring you some good luck in your forthcoming exams, and make sure you have watched the previous videos to be able to relate them to the current one. So, taking over a country and an economy in ruins in January 1986 with the help of the World Bank and IMF, came up with a number of reforms to restore the economy. So, in the case of restoring the economy, they made two initial mistakes when they were starting off. So they opted for a closed economy and also price controls. The controls created all the distortions that Amin had brought to Uganda, which we had looked at in our second video. So, which included the black markets, hogging of goods, etc. So in May 1987, NRM government, supported by the IMF and the World Bank, introduced an economic recovery program which aimed at achieving the economic growth of at least 5% per annum by boosting production, and also it looked at restoring of price stability by reducing inflation, then halting and reversing the deterioration of balance of payments by boosting the export earnings, then strengthening the initial frameworks. So this ERP marked the beginning of the emergency of the Ugandan economy, which we are studying today. So the broader policy objectives of the ERP were stabilizing of the economy through sound physical and monetary policies, though monitoring through the monitoring of the physical discipline. So they were to stabilize the fiscal and monetary policy through monitoring this. Then we are looking at the liberalization of consumer and producer prices. So the monopoly position of marketing boards was eliminated, and liberal marketing policies increased competition, hence better prices paid to the farmers. So then now we are looking at the liberalization and deregulation of the interest rates. These are the rates at which people borrowed money. So which are being determined by the market forces of demand and supply. Then looking at the progressive movement towards a market determined exchange rate within a system free of exchange restrictions and distortions. And then we're having strengthening of the balance of payment, then liberalization of trade, where Uganda allowed other countries to carry out trade with it. So this cleared their first mistake of being a closed economy by trading with other economies. Then we're having privatization and rationalization of the state enterprises. So they got potential people to manage these enterprises. Then we're looking at the major reforms under the 1987 ERP. We are having the currency reform measures, where the first thing they did is to kick off the 2 zeros off the shillings. For example, where 1 shilling was equal to 100 old shillings. So in other words, the shilling increased its value. And currency conversion tax at a rate of 30% was im, im, imposed to reduce excessive liquidity in the economy. Then abolition of the export taxes in 1992 to promote Uganda's exports. This encouraged people to export more. Then we are having the merger of Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Planning. Ministry of Finance with Ministry of Planning and Economic Development to coordinate micro management and ensure fiscal discipline. So fiscal discipline by controlling the by controlling public expenditure. And then also we are having granting of semi-independency to the Bank of Uganda through granting it full authority to monitor the money moving in the economy and also regulate commercial banks. Then having known that, we go to the fiscal operations and tax reforms, which included setting up of the Uganda Revenue Authority, which was responsible for collecting of taxes to avoid tax evasion and also make sure revenue goes to the right places as well. And then we are having the abolition of export taxes, introduction of VAT tax, etc. Then we are also having the development of the private sector. Where the Uganda Investment Authority was created to administer the investment code to attract, promote, and facilitate investment, provide physical incentives, and promote foreign and local investors. Then we are also having privatization of state-owned enterprises. Private people had more skills and were given enterprises to manage. Then looking at another point, the last one, adoption of a fully fledged fixed exchange rate regime in 1992. So this allowed the exchange rate to be flexible by being influenced by the demand and supply. So having looked at that, we go to the major highlights of the 1987 up to date. So courtesy of the ERP. So here we looked at, did the reforms work or not. So we are having the prudent microeconomic policies which reduced inflation from 220% in 1987 to a single digit from 1993 to 2007. However, it began rising once again into double digits from starting from 2007 onwards. So looking at another point here, saving fell from 7% to 4.2%. This occurred as a result of increased consumption. And then we are having, because of the resource constraints, limited efforts were made to improve the physical infrastructure and development. And development financing was constrained. Then sustained positive GDP growth rates, averaging to 6.5%. Then per capita income grew at an average of 36 percent per annum. Then we are having the investment GDP ratio averaged to 15%, meaning for every investment 15% was reinvested. Then the period, especially the 1990s, has been characterized by substantial reliance on external assistance. This was due to the local domestic saving rate, the narrow revenue, base, including inadequate export earnings and acute need for resources to rehabilitate the economy in order to revive the production capacity and improve government's ability to manage the economy. And then we are having government identified the need to reduce poverty through broader based growth that involves the participation of the poor in order to create economic opportunities and reduce poverty. This reduced poverty from 56% in 1992 to 25%. Then we are having the lower inflation, which restored investor confidence, e.g. the IMF and the World Bank, which encouraged other investors to follow along. Then improvement of the human development indicators, especially health, education, security, water, and sanitation. So over the three decades, the economy has moved from recovery to growth based on the short-term planning, that is of Vision 2024. The Vision 2040. Then looking at some of the impacts of ERP, we are having, although experience of Uganda in the past 2 decades also has revealed that the market-oriented policies are more effective and efficient than the administrative controls. Remember, during Amin's time, there was a lot of administrative controls. So there are a number of issues about these reforms that have been raised by across section of people that need to be addressed, and these are some of the negative impacts of the ERP that was introduced in around 1987. So with this ERP, the growth rate profile has remained jobless, in that many people are still looking for jobs. Income have not kept pace with the GDP growth. So though the GDP is increasing, the incomes are still low. Then income inequality is rising. Then we are having low competitiveness. Let me talk about the income inequality is rising. The gap between the rich and the poor has widened. Then we are having low competitiveness of the economy. When comparing the economy to other economies, it is still at a low. Then too much market, too little government. So with this, it means the government interfered less towards the economy. Hence, more people in the market will be exploited, yet it should come in and regulate some of the things. Then from that point of view, that's where we are going to end. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Next time we shall be looking at the theoretical perspectives on the economic growth.